guys, welcome to Cult Film Interview, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, dust off your spurs and ready your six-shooters because we're about to dive into the sprawling, sun-soaked world that is Once Upon a Time in the West. Picture this, a mysterious harmonica-playing gunslinger, a bandit with a heart of gold, and a widow out for revenge. There's nothing else to be said, so let's start the show. Hey guys, tonight we are talking about Once Upon a Time in the West, but before we do, as always, I am joined by Michael Salustio.
Hello, everyone.
Chris Willenbrecht.
Hey, what's up?
And Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
We do want to thank you for being a part of the cult. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review on there, and if you do, we're going to give you a shout out at the end of the show. We got 0 to do. Oh, it's okay. Hey,
No shout out.
Hey,
Show.
people are still finding out we're back. You know, talking to you, Egypt Machine. All right, she just found out that we're back. 2 episodes in, 3 now.
We could have we could have done a better job.
Promoting?
I don't know.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah,
You know,
Marketing's not our number one.
it is not our number one.
neither is movies
Oh.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. Neither is podcasting.
Do us a favor, head over to cultfilmandreview.com. Make sure that you get in your fan requests because those will be coming shortly. Also, just want to say at the top of the show, next month we are going to have a shorter episode. It's not going to be a review of a particular film just because everybody's schedule is just going to be so hectic, but we didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So we will have a nice little quick New Year's episode for you. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah, we're
as
taking
well.
the holidays off.
Come in next month for you. Like I said, we are talking about Once Upon a Time in the West. It was directed by Sergio Leone. It was written by Dario Argento, Sergio Leone, and Sergio Donatini?
Donati.
Looks at me like
Donatini?
one Italian guy in the room should know that.
You,
But
you get the Italian.
I fucking don't.
Starring Charles Bronson, Henry Fonda, and Claudia Cardinelli. Came out in 1968, had a budget of $5 million, made $40 million worldwide in the box office,
Oh.
has a rating of PG-13, sits at a critic score of 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, audience score of 95%. This was Kyle's pick. Kyle,
Mm-hmm.
why'd you pick Once Upon a Time in the West?
So when we first started the podcast, I had a list in my head of like 4 or 5 movies that was absolutely no. If the podcast, I don't know how long it's gonna go, but I need to do these movies. This one was on the list, and as the show progressed and we learned about more and more films, it just kept getting bumped down and bumped down. I was like, oh, I'll get to that one. I'll get to that one. And so now that we're back, I decided, you know what, I just want to, jump into it quickly. I want to find out if anyone has seen the movie before. I want to have conversations about it. I'm really excited about it. This is a movie that is just, I've seen it probably 100 times. It's, I don't know. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, 100 times. I'll go first. This was my first time seeing this movie. I had not seen it before. Obviously, I've heard of this movie before. I've seen the cover art a ton of times as well. But Western is not usually a genre that I jump into. And I honestly think a lot of it has to do is because like I was never, for some reason, I don't feel like I was ever introduced to the spaghetti Western. I was more introduced to like the John Wayne.
Yeah.
John Wayne shit, yeah.
And it's like so boring.
Oh, yeah.
And so I never got into it. What about you, Mike? Have you seen this before?
I am exactly with you. I had never seen this because I had Western is not I at least thought was not my favorite genre at all. Namely for the same reason I was introduced to like the old like kind of like the Gunsmoke Western, like
Yeah.
that kind of like American Western.
Wanted,
Yeah.
dead or alive.
Which I always just kind of thought they were kind of boring or formulaic or something, and I maybe I had that just in my head, but for that reason I never really got into spaghetti westerns. I think I maybe saw The Good and Bad and the Ugly one time.
What about you, Chris?
I'd never seen it either. This was my first time watch. Much like everyone else, except for maybe Kyle here, not super well versed in Western. Although we live in the Southwest, so we're constantly surrounded by Western and like ghost towns and places where films were shot. Tons of Westerns were shot. So yeah, it's not my favorite genre personally, but I know there's Westerns out there that are more interesting than the John Wayne I guess, style.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I got I have my dad to thank for getting me into this because he had this on VHS and then he got it on DVD whenever that came out, whenever DVD came out. But yeah, like I grew up hearing this harmonica like sound, like it's ingrained in me, and that honestly was like my interest in samurai films, which then got me into the spaghetti westerns because wasn't aware of the genre, but Sergio Leone's movie Fistful of Dollars is a copy of a samurai film that I really liked. So that just got me on that journey.
For those who may not know what a spaghetti western is,
Sure.
perhaps we should explain that, which is a movie about American Old West made cheaply in Europe, typically by an Italian producer and director. That is like
Pretty much.
I mean, you could say like, you could make it simpler by saying it's the Italians' interpretation of what the American Old West was.
yep.
Because there's also like there's Japanese westerns that do the same thing,
Spaghetti being the Italian part of it.
Right.
But yeah, cheap for sure.
Which way does it go? It's a lot of spaghetti westerns are based off of samurai films, correct?
One or two of them, you could say, has those roots, but
I thought that like all of them did or something.
no. Fistful of Dollars is based off Yojimbo.
Well, it was like the
which is-
Magnificent Seven, right? Which is Seven Samurai, right?
I guess, yeah. That
Well, keep
counts.
proving wrong, Mike. What's the next one?
What's the one where he goes into the town? There was a Bruce Willis movie based on it too.
Yeah.
Walking,
Well,
not Walking
That's
Tall. but-
that's also Yojimbo.
that's Yojimbo.
Yeah. Last Man Standing is what you're thinking
That's
of.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
of.
and
What
that's
ab-
also based off the Japanese film.
What about Rumble in the Western Bronx? Maybe you've seen that. That spaghetti western?
I have seen that one in
That
the dollar
one
bin.
is
What about-
based off or
Hateful Eight, the Hateful Eight, I believe. Isn't that based off of a samurai film?
super cowboy.
Isn't that like
another
the one where they're in the cabin and there's a whole thing going on? Isn't Hateful Eight based off of something like that?
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, that's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Everything he makes is.
Why do I
Yeah.
think that? I thought that Hateful Eight was based off of
It-
yet another
it
western
has-
that was
it's-
based off of yet
I
another
think it's
samurai film.
I think that one is the something at the inn. Blood. Oh, the inn
Yeah.
at Blood Pass.
Yes, correct.
So what we've
Yeah.
learned is a spaghetti western is a cheaply made
Thank
film
God.
in Europe, typically an Italian producer and director. Sometimes it's based off a samurai film,
But not always.
but not always.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's what we've put together.
yeah.
We've done
What else we should put together is is another thing that is one of my favorite parts of this show. Oh, it's time for plots and shots with Mike.
Okay, guys, this is a film that has a lot of moving parts, so I'm just going to try to condense it as quickly and succinctly as I possibly can. We have three kind of main characters here. We have Harmonica, a mysterious stranger, okay? We have a wife named Jill, who was married to this guy who ends up getting murdered, right? And then we have a man named Cheyenne. He's kind of an outlaw who has been framed. All three of these people are looking for a guy named Frank because they all know he's up to something. And this film is pretty much just about that. Them trying to find Frank and take him down.
Nice.
There it is.
There it
That
is.
is the plot. Now, what about
That was
the shot?
tight.
Okay, guys, so who has the review from last week?
Last week's review, I don't have it, but I do remember them mentioning a ranch.
There is
drink.
it is
Yeah,
it is
the
a drink, correct.
Champagne and ranch.
So at the end, he wanted to. He suggested a drink called the Spaghetti Western, and in it was like Jim Beam, prosecco, and
Mhm.
ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: I'm not doing that shit. Like, with respect to him, like I'm trying to make it so all drinks taste at least decent, right? And there's like there's a whole form, like a world of drinks that are just like dare drinks, like
Yeah.
you know, like the Boilermakers and like the cement mixers and like the tapeworms and all these weird shots that you do when you're way too drunk and somebody's trying to get you to throw up.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to make that experience for you here, guys, but I do respect our fans, and I took this as a challenge. So this is a drink I call the Spaghetti 68.
Can I just say off the bat, it's very pretty.
It's a very pretty drink.
Yeah.
Why don't I take a sip first?
Wait, let me tell you, I
Okay.
held this thing about I would. What is this? 6 inches? This is 6 inches from my nose,
Okay, yeah.
and I can fucking smell the booze from it. So it's boozy. I can tell you that.
I mean, it has whiskey in it. It has prosecco in it. Okay.
Let's go ahead and take a sipsies. Oh, that is strong, but oh my god, that is strong. Holy shit!
What do you guys
So is that
think?
the orange stuff at the bottom, or is it the pink stuff up?
So the
I'm
pink
tasting.
stuff in there is
Should
just
this be mixed
a
when I
ve-
drink it?
You can if you'd like. You can mix it up if you want to. That is just a little drop of Campari. I just kind of felt like this movie is. There's got to be a drop of blood in there.
It
right?
looks like a
Okay.
freaking southwestern sunset.
It
That's
fucking
what I'll
does.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I tried
does,
to
yeah.
make it pretty. I
Okay.
tried to make it so. You guys getting any notes here? Anything going
Yes.
in?
Let
What
me
do you
tell
get?
you what I get again.
I mean, that prosecco is the thing I taste the most up front.
Yeah.
Is the prosecco, which I like because I feel like the whiskey could be a little harsh, but because the prosecco is there, like
Mhm.
you almost don't even taste the whiskey
The
until it starts
whiskey-
wearing off.
The whiskey is a bitter, but I'm tasting a sour.
There's a citrus. I
There's
can't
like
figure
a,
out
is it
which
a
one it
lemon
is.
or an orange? A lemon orange?
There
It's
is
like a
lemon in
lemon or
this.
lime.
There is lemon in this.
Okay.
Okay, so I will tell you what this drink is. I tried to stay true to his infusion of ranch into this drink without making
Okay.
it absolutely disgusting. So what I did is I made a dillweed simple syrup to sweeten this drink. So if you get like a hint of like a weird because the closest thing I can say is like a pickle.
I didn't get any pickle.
It's very subtle. It's very hard. I think the prosecco is actually knocking all
It
all
is.
of these flavors, right? There's also parsley in this to try to give it a scent, and there's also peppercorns, which is like not coming up at all. But it does have whiskey and it does have prosecco. I think if I were to make this again, I would try to maybe muddle some more dill into this thing. I made one last night and it was way too much like dill.
This
And
is
it started tasting like a dill pickle, and I don't want that flavor
Yeah.
to infuse into it.
It's good.
It is good because essentially what it is a French 75. Well, I guess you would
Okay.
call it a Kentucky 75, right? Which I kind of turned into kind of like a hybrid mojito at some point because I
Yeah.
muddled parsley in this drink to try to get some some vegetalness to it.
Mhm.
The other two ingredients in ranch dressing is obviously milk, which I mean I could have tried to milk wash this thing, but I wasn't about to fuck with that.
Ooh, that would have been
No.
dope.
You think? I don't know.
Mhm.
I was really worried with adding prosecco whether that was
Milk
just
wash
gonna
would
be.
have been fucking real good.
The other thing is garlic and onion, and I wasn't about to fucking put those
No,
flavors in
my
this
God.
drink.
No.
So it is a refreshing and light drink. I don't know that I nailed the ranch.
I mean, you set out to make a drink
I
that has ranch in it, and you ended up accidentally creating a really refreshing beverage.
it is a refreshing
This is
beverage.
a nice summer drink.
It is.
I was gonna say, super drinkable. Like it's not like I feel like the Streets of Fire drink, the sleeveless Tom,
Yeah.
was a very heavy drink, and you had to almost kind of sip it slow over time. Whereas this one, I feel like you could pick the glass up every 20 seconds and take a sip because it's got that light, refreshing.
I will say this one has bite.
It does because
It
it's
has a
all,
bite
it's
to it.
pretty
It's lemon.
much all alcohol. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of prosecco in
Oh,
this,
I'm
right?
not
'Cause
really
I'm-
tasting alcohol.
Oh, I
I'm
am.
getting
Okay.
I'm getting
All right,
all
I kinda-
lemon.
I'm getting
I mean, there's certainly
heavy
some
alcohol.
lemon in here.
I'm getting heavy
I'm getting
alcohol.
lemon is the only flavor
I'll
that's
tell you-
really sticking in
I'll
my
tell you
throat or
why
my
you
tongue.
definitely need lemon because before when I made this drink, he didn't call for lemon in his recipe, so it was just the dill syrup and the whiskey. When you just throw whiskey into champagne and you don't add a citrus, all you fucking taste is whiskey.
I was gonna
It's
say
kind of gross.
the
It's
lemon
like doesn't
the
come
lemon
out
is
right.
masking the that's where I think the lemon is kind of giving the bite, which is also infusing with the whiskey, which is also where I'm getting the bitter of the whiskey on
Mhm.
top of it. So it's like it is a very bitter drink. I will say that.
I like the bitterness.
The
I really
Campari,
enjoy that.
Yeah, I kind of added a
it
little
will
bit
make
in
it
there.
will make you pucker.
Because prosecco is not really my favorite because
It's
it
not,
is
it's
so
not sweet,
sweet,
yeah.
and I think like I'm getting the prosecco like taste without that super sweet,
It's a good drink though.
Yeah.
It is a good drink. It'll make you he's gonna get you drunk.
and it's beautiful. Again, it looks like a freaking Arizona sunset.
All right, guys, that has been Plots and Shots with Mike. Thank you, Mike, for this delicious drink. Let's talk about Once Upon a Time in the West. Maybe we can clear up some of this plot, this story,
Yeah, this town.
this town.
There's a town involved in
There
this.
is a town.
situation.
Town
What's
plays
going
the
on?
most prominent role
I think
one,
about the
one
town
would
a
say.
lot.
One would say that the town was the top billed cast.
It's like the movie Manhattan. The city is also a character.
So I just want to talk about this real quick right off the bat. What a fucking choice that they made in the writing of this film, and I would say the opening of this film. Like literally, the opening of this film is an hour long.
It's not an hour,
I
but
wouldn't say-
It's
Yeah.
55 fucking minutes, dude. Yes, it is.
Well,
I pretty
the
much.
what do you
timed this
consider
out.
the
Like,
opening?
yeah, what do you mean?
I consider pretty much till we get to the main plot point, which is
The town.
Yeah.
is
the
really
fucking town.
when Jill shows up to the
Yes.
farm and everybody is dead.
Yeah, you
Okay,
and I talked
yeah.
about this a bit
Yeah.
earlier, but yeah, no, the movie starts when she discovers the murdered family. That's when the movie actually begins.
Mhm.
I had to watch this movie in 15-minute chunks because, like, new dad life.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to actually really appreciate the fact that the script and the edit is cut so that every 15 minutes you're on a new scene and a new thing, and they spend 15 minutes per main character to establish who they are, which is like a lot of time in a movie to spend 45 minutes, basically 45 to 50 minutes
Nowadays,
on just who is in this movie that matters, and these are the characters.
Right, and not tell you verbally
No.
either. Like there's really no dialogue for almost the first 55 minutes where it's more or less of this existential stuff, like you're getting set up with this dilapidated
Mhm.
rundown train fucking station.
Big town.
And no, this train
Oh,
station
we're talking about with
in the very opening, and
Oh, yeah.
it just seems like it's in the middle of fucking nowhere with like railroad ties that like
Mhm.
aren't. Listen, you're gonna trip if you walk at this train station. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you have these gnarly dudes show up with like this like really weak, old looking ticket taker kind of guy selling tickets. And like I was like, okay, out of these guys, who's shooting who? I didn't
Right.
realize they were on the same team at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
realize.
Yeah, I
like,
wasn't really sure what all the affiliations were.
I was pretty. I think I was pretty certain that all of them were in
They're
it.
all dressed the same.
Yeah, they were all in the.
I didn't.
This
catch
is not a
on-
world I'm
gang.
familiar with
Yeah.
identifying those
I
kind
don't
of
know.
things.
I
Yeah.
didn't know. Like in cowboy world, it's like Menace to Society world where you gotta gang colors.
Well, wait a second. You
You
saw
gotta-
Tombstone though, right? Remember they had the bandanas, and he was like, anybody who's seen wearing this
Mhm.
bandana is dead. Like it's automatic
Yeah,
death.
but that's like again, that's colors. That's like a bandana.
It is colors.
These guys were just wearing brown jackets.
And this is the beginning of the
Okay.
movie. We
Right.
don't know what to expect.
That's true. Fair enough.
Exactly. We don't know what to expect. And what happens is a train pulls up to this desolate fucking train station out in the middle of nowhere with no town attached to this one. And you just hear this harmonica playing. And you're like, where's that coming from? And the fucking train moves, and there's Charles Bronson in all his glory.
With no mustache.
No mustache.
No mustache.
I like no mustache, Charlie.
I
Yeah,
did
me
too.
too.
It was nice
Big
seeing
fan.
that. Yeah.
He's actually just as tough with or without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And he's basically like, hey, where's Frank? And they're like, Frank ain't fucking here. And he's like, okay. Bam, bam, bam. And he just shoots the three of them as they are trying to shoot him. They hit him. And then that's
Yeah, they
like
do.
really never brought up again, which I think is kind of weird.
I think it got deflected somehow by something,
They went
right?
into his shoulder, and he had his shoulder in a sling for
Yeah,
like, the
he's-
first half of the movie.
yeah, he's
he?
he's still
I
a
just
little.
Oh, that's
missed
right.
that.
He
And that
buttoned
bullet,
his
that
shirt
bullet
up.
hole,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
bullet hole is there the
Kid-
rest of the movie
Right.
too.
The bullet hole's there. I didn't recognize that he had his arm in a
That's
sling. I
right.
missed that whole
That's
part.
because he's so tough.
But that's not his shooting arm, so he doesn't use it often.
Gotcha.
I do want to talk about something that builds up to that point, right? Like, so there's like very little dialogue that occurs
Yeah, once they lock up the
between the time harmonica shows up
dude.
and like the time that they like kind of just first make themselves known, right? But man, holy shit. I gotta say, like, I feel like this is a part of filmmaking that maybe has been lost in kind of our more modern, like MCU kind of driven world where like you can say so much with just shots and like build so much character. There's that scene, right, where they're all just kind of waiting there. And there's just, it's like hot and sweaty, and you can like hear like the cicadas and shit. And like a fly is buzzing around this guy, and he's clearly irritated by it. Now, whether this was planned or not, I have no fucking idea, right? Like, but there's a point where you could tell he's very irritated by it, and he captures the fly and puts it in the barrel of his gun, and he holds it there. And you just get this whole thing like he's just torturing this fly. And I actually started feeling bad for the fly, right? Like, because I'm thinking, like, this is all I need to know that these are real bad dudes. Like, this dude takes sheer pleasure out of harming this fly. Like, these are the type
Well,
of
it's like
people.
it's a level of casualness to
Okay,
it.
yes.
That's why I think lends itself actually a lot to Frank and his gang in terms of like feeling evil and kind of nasty. Is like there's a
Absolutely.
level of just like, oh no, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm killing this
Exactly.
person.
They're
'cause it's
just
Tuesday.
mean
Yeah.
dudes,
He's just
man.
sharpening his skills as, like a killer.
Pretty much, and, like-
Catching a fly in a barrel, really sharpening those.
I mean, but
But
they're-
it's
I
not about
get
that.
the
It's the
point he's
meanness
saying,
and
though,
the
yeah.
torture of it. Like, I
Yes.
mean, he eventually kind of lets the fly go because he's just like insignificant. But it's just like there's a moment where the actor kind of has a sheer sense of delight
Mm-hmm.
that this thing is caught in his gun and he has control
Yeah, because
over
he's
it.
like he's like kind of cradling it against his
Yeah.
face and shaking it to make it fly around and shit.
right out the
Oh.
gate, you can tell that the cinematography is going to be a shining star in the film.
100%.
Just because, and it's just because of the point you made, which is you don't even need the dialogue to know what a character is feeling, or even just the nuances of what a character is doing or feeling. And these are all very, I mean, it's so interesting too the way they set up even just the setting of the West and how quiet they make it seem. I mean, obviously there's the music, which does play a big role in this, but the way they put you in the setting right away is wind blowing, windmills creaking.
Just the creaking sounds. of, like,
Everyone's
existing,
quiet.
Yeah.
No one's talking. It's not like there's conversations happening between any of the people that are hanging out.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of buddies hanging out doing a podcast. It's a bunch
Yeah.
of guys like slinging guns and like thinking about who they're gonna probably have to kill next, or survive.
Yeah.
I'm guessing survival,
Hope they don't get
is
killed.
on the top
Yeah.
of the list, so and they do a fantastic job with both the sound design, cinematography right out the gate with this movie. You're getting that.
Yeah, I actually have like gone back and just watched this intro just by itself. Like if I like
Yeah.
got some time to kill, and like I'll just put this on, and then when it's done, it's like it's enough for me. The way that it builds and I absolutely love the one character. He wanders over under the water tower. Drop of water hits his head, so
Yeah.
he puts his hat up there to catch the water, and it just like I don't know. I got so much about that character from that scene. It's just like this dude's just being as efficient as he can because he's in the middle of fucking nowhere with no water ever,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this scene, I love this. It sets up Charles Bronson's character great too because he kind of comes in and just it's quiet, it's slow, and coming off of like other Sergio Leone films, like if I think about Clint Eastwood. Like Clint Eastwood has this like squinty eye, and he's got this like this tone in his voice.
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing? And like I love this because Charles Bronson is basically playing the exact same character, a man with no name, but he's playing it so calm and quiet and cool, like and collected and stuff, and almost amateur in some respects too.
I mean, you see him get shot right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And Clint Eastwood's like,
Which I kinda
invincible
love.
from bullets.
Yeah, I kind of love that. Like it's like this, like it is showing you a world where this hero is just like not safe. Like it's not like a Arnold Schwarzenegger film where
Yeah.
he's not going to really come into any harm until like maybe the last final battle. Like this is one where it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe they kill him at the beginning.
Well, they want to show you how real the West was, as far as like that's that people just pull guns and shoot each other, and then you just either live or die, and if you live, you just wrap your arm in a sling and just go on and keep like trying to survive, or like going on your mission or whatever.
Real fun place.
I mean, he would have.
raise a family there.
I mean, there's definitely movie elements to this, though. Like, because if he was really shot, he would have died dysentery.
Yeah,
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a
it's
cut
true.
and die in the Old
Anything.
West.
Yeah.
it is a movie. It's not
Get a bad thorn.
I often think about the
Staph
Old West in
infection.
terms of just life and death, and like like back in the day. Let's say you lived out in the frontier, right? And you had
Right.
your wife and your kid and stuff. Let's say you needed supplies. You had to trek yourself on horseback all the way to the nearest town. get those supplies, come all the way back. You could get
2-3
ambushed,
days.
anything. But here's the other thing too: horse, unreliable form of transportation that I think we all take for granted now that we have cars. Like
Mhm.
that thing could buck, knock you down on the thing.
Or you could come across a rattlesnake.
Can
You're
you-
done.
And no cell phones, right? Like
None.
every time your husband
Yeah.
leaves and goes
Not even a thought of one.
goes to town to go get supplies, like he's going to the grocery store, that might be the last time you ever see him.
Yeah.
And you won't
Yeah.
know about it unless he's missing for a month.
That's all it
Like,
is.
Yeah.
like who knows where the fuck he
Like,
is?
you just be waiting by the door.
Yeah.
Come home soon, maybe.
So we kind of know that Harmonica is looking for Frank because he asked where Frank is in the beginning of the scene. So we get a little bit there.
We know he's badass. Like he's a good
you know.
shot,
We know he's a good
right?
shot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he takes
Yeah.
those guys out quick.
Badass. I don't know if we know that at this point.
He shoots 3 guys
He
like it's
shoots
nothing.
Also, I just feel like
Not
his
like it's
presence.
nothing. He got fucking shot.
That was, you know what? That was an unfortunate.
Yeah.
His bullet on that guy was just off to center a little bit. Otherwise,
Yeah.
that guy would have dropped too.
Like dropped before he got
But
him.
that's what I like about him. It's like it establishes as much more of an everyman kind of
Right.
character versus this like invincible anti-hero like Snake Plissken or
Mhm.
Clint Eastwood's character in these films.
And then from there, that's where I feel like it also can get a little more convoluted because then we start getting introduced to all the other characters into this movie, which all have their plot points that kind of all intersect towards the end of the film. We have Jill, who is and her husband Brett O'Brien. So we
Right.
follow Brett for a little bit.
Well, we
Just-
see his
just a
family.
minute,
We see his
yeah.
family out on
Right.
in their home.
Yeah, they're
Right.
preparing for a great feast. It looks like
For Jill for
Yeah.
showing up.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause
They're about to
yeah,
meet new mom,
like, yeah,
dude.
yeah.
She got a
Things
new
are going
mom on
pretty
the
good.
train.
Yeah, new mom's coming on the train.
Cut
Yeah.
short.
Not
cut
my
short.
mom. That's what that kid said.
Yeah. And so when they're about to make this feast, they're murdered.
Yeah.
By
just
Frank and
by-
his men.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we talk about
Do we know why? Does he do that for any reason other than?
Well, I mean, it's revealed at the end
Yeah.
of the movie. It's
It's
like
yeah.
That's a great plot point. It's probably the biggest one.
yeah.
So anyways, though,
I'm gonna
in-
have
It's
to
the
be
reason
reminded.
the reason the movie happens actually.
in killing Brett and them doing this killing Brett, they also are framing Cheyenne, who is
Yes.
a bandit.
Yeah, he's part of the
And doing-
Cheyenne gang, and
Right.
their colors are to wear yellow dusters.
And they are going to frame them into doing this so that the trail is off of them.
Mm-hmm.
What I do want to talk about this part is one of my favorite and there are so many good shots in this movie. It's kind of fucking ridiculous. But one of my favorite shots is when those fucking cowboys step out of fucking
nowhere, right?
Yes.
A bush was concealing them. Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here.
Step out
Great
of nowhere
shot.
and just show up, and you're like, holy shit.
That little boy is just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like this group of, and then the way that scene plays out is just so. It's like, what do you want to do with him, Frank? And you see Frank's face, like, well, now that you've said my name,
right.
Right, dude. That was actually
and
that
he looks
gave
at
me
the
a little
kid
bit of
and pulls
chills.
the fucking gun. I was
So-
like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like it's your fault that kid's dying because I actually felt like he was gonna let that kid
I
go.
think
Yeah.
he was gonna let
He
him
was.
go. I
Yeah.
think he was. I think he was
So-
planning like whatever.
So here's a little thing for you too, and this is where I am like, cinema history, cinema stuff, things like this. Not so much cinema history, but just a thing. I always remember hearing about Assault on Precinct 13 and the little girl getting shot being a
Mhm.
big fucking deal, and everybody was like up in arms about it during the time, which is like what, late 70s,
Yeah, it was like 80.
78.
It's like
70,
mid to late. Let's say mid to late.
It's in the 70s.
It's in the 70s.
Yeah.
Early 80s.
It's after Halloween, right?
76.
No, it's before
76.
Halloween. Fuck me.
So I
Oh.
remember it like that was supposedly a big deal, but then we watched this movie, and this is a pretty prominent killing of a little boy. Like you don't necessarily see the blood like I guess you do in.
You don't even see him get shot, though, right?
Assault. No, you don't see him get shot.
Yeah,
but
it's all in Precinct 30. I think they just
But
gunned
you
a kid in
see
the
but you-
street.
But then they like cut to. But they do, I believe, cut to his dead body on the ground.
They
yeah,
do.
Yeah, they show it.
So I'm just like it's so weird to me that this movie did not. You don't hear about that.
Yeah.
Where you did in Assault on Precinct 13.
You know what's weird? And we can talk about this later. I mean, I don't really have a lot I want to talk about, but in researching,
I don't have a lot I want to
I
talk
don't want
about.
to talk of this particular subject,
Yeah.
but in researching it, I didn't know this, but the film itself when it was originally released in Europe, it was released as we saw it.
Yeah.
When it was released in America, I think Touchstone Pictures, TriStar that distributed them, they cut like 45 minutes out.
Yeah.
And they eliminated a bunch of key like plot point things.
Mhm.
And the movie overseas killed it.
Right.
And here in America, it was an absolute bomb flop, terrible Western.
And that was a pattern for all of his films, basically, that were released here, because Sergio is a master of the slow burn. Once Upon a Time in America, which is the last film he did, same thing. It's the same thing where it's like they cut a bunch of time out, did terrible here. They did an extended his original cut in Europe, did great, was reviewed crazy better by American reviewers. That one was released over there, and then it bombed over here. Review bomb was terrible, because this guy I almost feel like, and I'm not too familiar with his film, so I'm not gonna pretend like I am, but I almost feel like after watching this, like either this is his masterpiece, either this is his best film, or like he is the master of the slow burn, like, because
he has I've just like, and I actually read that he had the actors like act to the music and listen to the music while they were, get like blocking the scenes basically.
Right.
And I think that's because he himself has a rhythm to the way that he sort of sees the film and directs and shoots it and wants it shot.
That's pretty cool.
And so his slow burn, quote unquote slow burn aspect, I think, is so that he can play his music, so to speak, the way that he, you know what I mean? He thinks it should be played. He doesn't think about it as a slow burn. He thinks about it probably more as I'm putting you in the West. This is what it would feel like if you were here right now.
Yeah, he definitely has an amazing attention to detail.
Yeah.
With the Old West, there's a lot of tiny little things that I'm like,
bro,
what?
The amount of foreshadowing or hinting that he does in certain scenes
About what?
With the train station and the watering thing. Like there's this whole scene, like when they're in the house with Cheyenne and Jill, and they're talking about, and they're looking for whatever this fortune is, that
buried gold, treasure, something
that Brett left behind. Now, if you notice, he says, "Can you get me coffee?" Right? And he tells her to get him coffee, and she makes the boiling water with the coffee, and she slams that down by him when he's sitting at the table. On the table is a wooden fucking train. Right next to it, she slams the fucking thing down, which is the watering station. So they're looking for the treasure, and the treasure's right there in front of them. He's explaining to the audience the treasure is the location. It is this. Which is the visual of those two items, dude. It's fucking genius.
When he finds the station,
which is the main
she like
plot
hits
point
the
you're talking
station
about.
sign. I was just like, I didn't pick it up. This time through, I really got a chance to feel like pay attention to that, and like, it was so well done in terms of like sneaking in
little things
to kind of like, I'm telling you the whole story right now.
I'm telling the audience the mysteries that they want. The only one that he did not let on to, I think, is the fucking harmonicas.
No, wait, hold on, because actually, while we were talking about this, I actually got to thinking that there is kind of a slight little hint as to where the harmonica story is going, and it lies in the fact that if we're going to say that Frank wasn't going to shoot that kid and he lets kids go to grow up and become people, he might have, this might be a trend that gets him in trouble towards the end of the film.
In the film, does he say he doesn't kill kids?
No.
He doesn't say it. He clearly kills kids because he does kill one. But if we're going to say that
his intention wasn't to kill,
if he didn't say the only reason he was going to kill him was because he said his name, then he has a tendency to let kids go and grow up to
like
go.
He did to harmonica.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I jumped ahead.
Well,
it doesn't matter. Whatever.
We're really kind of not telling the story and the plot. We're kind of all over the place, just talking about this film.
It's a lot of movie.
It is a lot of movie, and like so much of it is visual. Like one of the greatest compliment I can give this film is that in watching it, not pacing wise, just cinematography wise, it felt like a modern film.
Oh my god, 100%. Yes, I
Yeah.
every single time these movies like this one or Good, the Bad, the Ugly, they get like a 4K remaster or re-release.
Yeah.
I'm like watching it, I'm just like, fuck me, it just got better.
Yeah.
Like it's on par with like 8K today. Like it looks so fucking good, so sharp, so clean. And this is like Sergio Leone's like big budget spaghetti western. Like he had a pretty good budget for Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and that was a big thing. But the production company wanted him to do one more, and like he demanded a huge budget, and then he wanted to be able to finally spend the money on all the attention to detail. Like Good, the Bad, the Ugly got real close, but this one is just like so fucking intricate and so many
Well,
like,
and it has
small bits.
the
You know,
camera movements that you
Yes,
expect
all
in
the
a modern
shots.
film. Like in some of it, like you don't even see today in modern films. Like there is a shot where Jill is in the wagon and they're going to the thing, and it's like this sprawling desert.
shot in Arizona.
Holy shit! Is it one of the most beautiful things? And all I could think is as I'm watching this was, fuck my life that I'm not watching this on a big screen.
Right?
Mm.
Oh, dude, I had that
Yeah.
thought so
Yeah,
many
me
times.
too.
I'm like, this movie is made for the big screen.
It is
Yeah.
110% made for the biggest fucking screen you could find.
I just
The shots are so incredible.
Put
yeah.
it in the sphere.
I don't want to like, and I don't want to hate on modern filmmaking. I mean, there's still good films being
Right.
made. It's just that I feel like right now, currently, the mindset for blockbusters is not in telling stories through pictures. It's more about telling stories through maybe what one could say overly over exposition.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of it needs to
agree.
be
People
talked
are
to and
slower
explained.
nowadays. They
But
can't. They don't want to pick up a bunch of shit.
I
Like
also
its
think
attention spans have fucked
No, 'cause-
movies.
yes,
man.
I told Kyle this. I don't think this movie works for a lot of the modern audience
No.
because
Mhm.
their attention span will not be able to.
Well,
hang
I
on
also
to
think
this.
that we kind of live in a kind of a world right now where like maybe films are they're trying to shotgun such a wide audience that includes kids and adults
Yeah, I'm
Agreed.
saying
that
that
like
more. Yeah.
we've all kind of been weirdly trained to like be watching kids films. Like all the MCU films at the end of the day are kind of kids films.
Sure.
Like,
Oh, yeah, no,
they're
I
not
agree.
like adult films, right?
Yeah.
And they don't rely on this type of storytelling because kids are gonna get bored. Like you try to get your kid to watch like the old Star Wars, like the original trilogy. Like most of them are just like, I can't be bothered with this. This is taking too fucking long.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, and nowadays it's like Star Wars. They have to talk about everything. Oh my god, they gotta talk about everything.
But no, I agree. I like that's the one thing I said is like I feel like it's shot like a modern film, not so much the pacing because the pacing of this film is definitely a slow burn. But that being said, the slow burn is worth it, and like he makes the journey of the slow burn worth it, especially
Because-
visually.
Because and yes, to tie that together, it's because literally almost every single shot in this movie you can tell is like well thought out,
Mhm.
well composed. Like it's not I don't feel like one shot was wasted.
Yeah.
No, I
Jill's
agree.
arrival in town. That shot as a camera rises over the station house and into that wide landscape shot of the whole town and everything.
Yeah,
And the
so
music
cool.
swells in that shot. I was like, dude, this is a fucking spaghetti western. Like,
wow.
look at that fucking shot.
There was not one wasted shot in this film. Every single shot was like well thought out and well composed.
And Kyle and I talked a little bit about this film off podcast, which I know is a crime, but we did it
No, I
anyways.
did too.
There's
the
a
only one I didn't
lot.
talk to was Chris, honestly.
There's a lot going on in the background of all
Yes.
that kind of give a historical perspective as to
Yes.
what was going on in the West.
Totally.
Like you see a bunch of indigenous people coming off of a train at one point in time, and you're like, "What's going on here?" There are moments where you realize that, like, oh, Chinese immigrants are being used to
Yeah.
build the railroad. They're not
Every
major
shot-
points. They don't talk about it,
I kinda
but
No.
you see it.
Every shot
and you
has
know it.
layers. Every
That's-
shot has layers, like foreground, middle ground, background, and then maybe even background.
I also
Like,
think O'Brien being an Irishman played into part of his murder.
Okay. I mean that could be something as well. There's
yeah.
just so much that again doesn't need to be talked about or explained. It is off camera. you'll miss it if you're not paying attention. But when you're paying attention to it and you're looking at it, you're realizing like, oh my God, they're really building up the world of what the Old West is.
It's like almost like Kubrick level in a way.
And I do want to say, while I was like coming up with the idea for this drink, I actually started reading about like the Old West. I didn't know this about the Old West, but like the Wild West really only took place over the course of like 20 or 30 years.
A very short period of time.
It's very short. It's because it's pre when those railroads started
Yeah.
actually hitting the towns.
Okay.
Because I was trying to figure out like, were they really drinking whiskey? What the fuck were they drinking out there, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out like places like say Tombstone, right, which were big silver mining towns that had like were these centers of commerce, right? They had champagne, they had gin, they had
Yeah.
everything, right? But before that, it was just like rot gut. It was like whatever they could build in a bathtub somewhere,
Mhm.
right? Once these railroads started coming into these towns, they became so big.
Mm.
And they started getting all of this stuff, and with it, different people, different cultures.
Which makes me think like once these railroads are coming into town, it made me think of the scene in this movie where a harmonica is on top of the rail or on top of the train. Like
Later on in the film, when he's trying to get to Frank.
get to Frank, right? Like, and I thought to myself during like watching that scene where he's just riding that thing along, I'm like, people actually fucking did that. Like, people actually like tried to take over trains, like jumped on, killed a bunch of people, stole a bunch of shit, got back on a horse somewhere.
I mean,
met,
who's
like,
out there
got-
to stop him?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that
Exactly.
shot
Yeah.
of
No
him
one's
on
like-
the roof. He like looks over and sees all of Frank's men come galloping over, and it's just that shot. You're just like, he's in an infinite, vast nothingness right
Right.
now.
And so is
And he
everybody on
has
that fucking train.
Where to fucking hide?
Yeah,
you get-
he's fucked right now.
You die, like,
Well,
who's
that was
out
the,
there? No one's
that
gonna
was
know
the,
about it
That
for
was the
years.
brilliance of Frank's move.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To get the train moving, because I know eventually we're gonna get. He's up there. He can't go anywhere, and when the guys come riding up on the horse, like I'm like, they see him. He's not getting away. Like, what I was going to say though is why I think what I was going to argue of why I think this film feels so modern, especially in the cinematography aspect of it, is because after watching this film, I realized how much every other fucking film I've watched in my life has ripped this film off.
Fuck yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
stolen shots, use the music, like
Oh, yeah.
fucking
Everything.
this thing is
Oh.
a cultural icon
I mean,
that I did not realize is a cultural fucking icon.
I'm glad you said that because I absolutely love hearing the song that is played in the Burbs.
Yeah.
In the
Dun,
dun 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 dun
Right.
dun. It's like okay.
Like you can tell, like so many filmmakers have been influenced by this film.
I mean, talk about like Quentin Tarantino, right? How many times did he use an Ennio Morricone film like score
right?
in his
Every
films?
single movie he's ever made, I think.
Exactly.
Pretty close.
Like it's just
And that harmonica is so haunting sounding,
Oh,
right? The way
bro.
it calls out into the vastness of the
Dude.
desert.
the coolest. Okay, the coolest use of the harmonica, and I wish they would have used it this way more. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Is when he's out in the fucking pitch black,
Yeah.
and she's got the gun. And she's like pointing out the window because she's like, somebody's out here playing
Yeah.
the fucking harmonica, and she can't see him, and all you hear is the harmonica.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, is that shit
Spooky.
scary?
Yeah, spooky as
Yeah.
hell.
Scary as fuck. Because I don't know if any of y'all have had, because I'm from Missouri originally,
Mhm.
and I don't know if any of y'all have had a cousin or family member who's lived out in the fucking sticks, and you like go there
They scare
for
you.
like no, you go there for like Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, and it turns dark and it's night and you can't see a fucking thing because there's not a street light.
Oh my god, yes.
And there's not a fucking this.
you
it's
can't see like
cloudy
10
out.
feet ahead of you.
You can't
Yeah.
fucking see your hand in front of your face.
I mean, for a while, my parents were living in like up in the mountains, like over in Scottsdale.
Mhm.
Where there's like nothing out there. There's like no street lamps, nothing.
just tennis courts and basketball courts and
I mean,
light shopping in the
Teslas.
mountains of Scottsdale.
Light shopping.
I mean, we think of Scottsdale as like a really
I
long,
know.
but this is like way past Cave Creek, right? Like this is past like that old western kind of
Yeah,
town
I
that
like
they
that
still try to do
area.
thing, right?
Past Sheffield.
If
Speaking of
anybody,
western
it's a
towns.
small
Western
town,
town.
Sheffield. Fuck, going back to that, are we? Anyways,
Small town Sheffield. Small town.
Yeah, I remember staying there. My parents like went on a vacation. They're like, "Well, let's watch the house and stuff." Holy fucking shit, was I scared? Holy shit, was I scared?
Oh yeah.
Like the desert at night when there is
spooky.
no cars, no roads, nothing is terrifying.
It's
well,
so
you know,
dark.
it's like because I had we had some family friends growing up, and they built their house out in Cave Creek. They like they built it themselves, bought a plot of land, the Griswolds.
Yeah.
But the thing I've noticed with people who
Clark?
like lived in the like desert like that, they never have like curtains on their windows because why would they?
Yeah,
there's no one
no
around.
one to see.
But then at night, it's just a sheet of pitch black. Like the fuck is
Yeah,
out
it-
there
it's
right
like, and
now?
you know, anyone could see you clearly, but you can't see them.
Right.
I was at my parents' house. There was a thunderstorm and lightning struck, and it was like terrifying because it was just flashes
Mhm.
of like this vast desert going out beyond, and you're just like, holy shit.
Bro.
And you think there's gonna be something like peep up like right in front of the window, like a mountain lion or
And is
some
it-
shit.
Is this the first time in the movie, and maybe I'm just remembering this wrong, maybe it's even bigger in my imagination than I remember it, but is this the first time in the movie too where like the crickets stop?
Yes.
And you,
There-
like,
I mean, I don't know if
really
it's the
sit-
first time it's ever
No,
happened.
that's
really
in film.
no,
no,
That's
no,
that
that's when
happens
the-
when the
yeah.
McBains get murdered.
Yeah.
Is that okay? That's right. That's when it 1st happens. That's a cool fucking.
That's a
That's
very
a good
cool
shot. You're just
thing,
kind of like, what
too.
the?
And I don't know if
Fuck.
that is, look, Argento's tied to the writing on this. Like, do you think that? I mean, I felt a little scared in a couple of scenes in this movie. Do you think he has to do with that, being the master of horror and all?
I think
or-
with him
Could've.
writing, I
Yeah.
think
He,
so.
he has a story, but like him, Bernardo Bertolucci is also a name
is
on
he
this film.
the
Last Tango in Paris is what you
Okay.
probably know him.
Fast and
from.
Furious Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
You may know him
You might
from.
know
That's the
him.
one you might-
Now,
Little
is he the
film.
guy who
Fast
did that
8.
concentration camp movie? Who's that guy?
Pitch Black.
Bertolucci.
actually,
Pitch
you know?
Black.
Did
starring
Bertolucci
Vin
do a
Diesel?
concentration camp movie? I don't know. I just
Life is Beautiful. Who's that?
No, you're thinking of the actor.
Bernard. What's I don't.
Triple X. There was.
I don't know who
Murder
that guy
of
is.
Again,
Xander.
Another Vin Diesel film.
This was a real dream team.
Dude,
of
it fucking
people.
is when you like when I feel like there's a few other Italian movies I see Dario Argento's name pop up in,
Yeah.
like westerns or other things. But it's like fuck yeah, like this, and I'm never disappointed. The story has some element of creepy or weird
Is it-
or off,
yeah.
and I don't know, man. I want to talk about so many different things. Like, if we're talking about like the writing of the film and stuff, the story device to explain harmonica, like. It's probably one of my favorite storytelling elements in a movie. Like the weird flashbacks that slowly build throughout the film. Like
Yeah.
you get a couple here, you get one here, and you're like, "What the fuck is that? Some blurry guy. It's a weird shot." And you're like, that's tied to harmonica for some way? And then it just builds on it, and then it culminates with the finale at the end. I just thought, I don't know why it's always like struck me as like probably one of the best storytelling elements or reveals of like here's the whole backstory, boom, like
Mhm.
what did you get? I want to get your thoughts on that scene.
What, the
Oh,
reveal of the backstory?
or
Yeah, that whole the whole
okay.
way they
How they
told the
do it?
story of harmonica and Frank.
I like the
very
way.
escape to Witch Mountain. I like it.
Escape to which
I like the way they tell it.
An obvious influence, obvious.
I like the way they tell it because never is it given to you, and
It's never given to you until
the
it's
fucking
given
very-
to
No.
Frank.
until the
I
very end,
didn't
yeah.
know what was going on until the very end when they
Yeah.
actually revealed the
Yes.
full flashback. Like it was just pieces of it.
I love
mean, they
the
all
idea though
work
of like
together at the
pieces of
end.
flashbacks that like build throughout the film
Yeah.
as you try to put the story together in your head.
Yeah,
I-
I couldn't tell you what was going. I mean, I knew that Frank had something to
Right.
do with his backstory
Had to.
because he's naming off these
Why would he
names
care
too.
so
Remember, he's
much?
just like he's naming these names. And
Oh,
he's like,
God.
that guy's dead. This guy's dead. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Oh,
what
man,
a
they-
great
they
character.
keep
Because
him-
his response to every question is just more dead men.
Totally.
It's so good.
And you're thinking that like this could have been a bank robbery gone wrong that he was a part of and he forgot
Right.
about the guy, or this could have been like I thought it was going to be any of those things. I did not think it was going to be what it was.
Me either.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea it was going to be that. And I was trying to figure out that the whole time. I was also trying to figure out why would they fucking kill this guy? Like, why were they killing Brett? You know, what?
Yeah, that they don't
That's
make
it.
that abundantly clear.
They don't make that abundantly
It's
clear
almost.
for a while.
It's. Can I tell you?
No.
It's almost like a mystery. Like it's almost like an
There's-
Agatha Christie mystery,
Mhm.
where like there are all these pieces, and they just are not coming together. Like, why is this happening? Who is this guy? Why is this guy doing this?
But they all
like,
crescendo in the end and like
Yeah.
give you that the satisfaction of knowing at least what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on.
I
Dude, when you find out like McBain's plan, the whole thing, you're like, goddamn fucking genius right there.
yeah,
McBain now is he the
Or McBain.
he's the actor from The
Is
Simpsons.
it
that-
McBain? Wasn't it McBain or what is it?
McBain.
It's McBain.
McBanion.
Yeah, there's Jill McBain, and then there's
McBain.
Yeah, it's McBain.
Ha!
I mean, it's
I
just
thought it was O'Brien. We've been saying O'Brien this
You
whole
said
fucking
McBain.
show.
That's the guy from Deep Space Nine.
I've been
Yeah.
saying O'Brien the show because it sounds so fucking Irish.
Said something about it. I mean,
Which
McBain is-
I am Irish. I can say
is
this
probably
shit. I
something.
can get away with
but
it.
another one I want to talk to since we're on the topic.
Oh my god.
Could we do
Go
this real quick, Mike? I want you to hold that thought.
I
'cause
will
when
hold the
we
thought.
come back, we're gonna talk more about Once Upon a Time in the West. All right, guys, let's all head to the lobby and grab ourselves a treat. It is my favorite time of the show.
It's your favorite. What's it
Yeah.
called?
It's kind
It's
of
called.
too.
It's called. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat.
Snack time.
Snack time. That's right. We're gonna have ourselves a snack, and we're gonna rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 for you guys. I'm excited to see what you brought. I brought something that I just had the other day, and I liked it so much I had to bring it in for you guys.
You know what? Mine is also something that I had, and then I was like, I gotta share it.
Okay.
Wow.
Ooh, nice. Nice.
Totally random
who-
over here.
Yeah, totally random.
And I
as
don't
well.
even know what I'm gonna pick yet. I have a couple
Oh,
options.
Chris brought like
Oh.
18 snacks and shit.
He
Depends
always
what
does.
you guys brought, so I should probably go last.
Okay, so who wants to go first then? Anyone? Any volunteers?
I can go.
Let's do it.
Okay. What'd
So
you bring?
This
Show the
has
camera.
this has nothing to do with the movie, but
Oh,
these are Chinese Lays, and these are squid flavored.
Ooh.
But to be honest with you, I was on Amazon and they just sound like something I wanted to try.
Very
but
interesting.
if you want me to bring it, I thought about how I can connect this to the movie. Mr. Choo Choo wants to see the Pacific Ocean,
Morton.
which contains squids.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, let's try this.
Has anyone ever had squid flavored chips?
Is it gonna taste like calamari? Like just calamari? You
So
think?
I have avoided squid flavored stuff for this show.
I'll try it. Fuck it.
try
But
Should I
I'll
do one
I'll be
more?
happy
Yeah,
to
you
see if
too.
you guys are into it.
Oh, the
I got
smell.
so many squid things.
Don't break it yet.
No, I'm not gonna eat it. I'm just gonna go off the smell.
I do like
Not a fan of the smell.
It's got a pork rind vibe.
No,
you mean a fish vibe?
no, it's got some
You definitely need
weird.
more than one to get the right
Actually,
flavor.
I kind of dig the like the almost paprika situation. going
Yeah,
on there.
that smells fine.
All right, we doing this?
I'm ready.
That smells fine.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hot dogs, chili dogs.
These are not the most fishy ones I have had.
Not at all.
I would almost go as far as to say I don't really feel like they're very squid flavored.
No, chili dog is right.
Yeah.
Is that it?
They're
Yeah.
more like pork flavored in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting like
One day I'm gonna bring shrimp chips as a thing.
I'm getting
'cause
like
they're
a-
very fishy.
chili dog.
With
They're
cheese.
not bad.
There's a hint. I can. Okay, there's a hint of like
Squid is the first thing.
shellfish that I'm getting.
Yeah.
I
the
would
first
eat
thing
this.
is that.
I'd eat the whole bag.
I ate the whole
Yeah, I
fucking
eat this
bag.
whole fucking bag right now.
I give this and this is not like a 5 for me though. This is like a 3.5. This is like a 3.5 for me.
I'm
Oh.
digging it. I'd
It
give
was
it
a
like a three.
It was a 2-pack on Amazon. So
Cool.
Yeah, good buy.
I'd
Yeah.
give it a 3.
Yeah,
They're good.
You
yeah,
want some
I'd
squid
probably give it
chips?
a 3 as well.
I say it. Try a squid chip. They're pretty good.
Try a squid chip.
Who wants to go next? Mine's more desserty.
Okay, I'm gonna
So,
go next then.
okay,
We'll
good to
stay in
know,
the
good to
savory
know.
area. Okay. I thought this kind of went with like a western too. I found these and I tried them. They are Trader Joe's ridge cut potato chips seasoned with horseradish. and
Ooh, I like the
chives.
horse part.
So
Okay.
we are now two episodes in where Mike has gotten his snack from TJ's.
No, what
Mhm.
was
No,
the
I've
last one
seen,
from TJ's? What did I get?
The stuffing chips were from TJ's.
Oh, that's
Did I?
right. That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am a fan of TJ's. I do
Yes,
love a
he
good
is.
Trader Joe's.
I do
So
love
yeah,
a good TJ's.
get in this.
a good TJ.
I want to just point out how cheap they went on the bag. They're really gonna save you money by
Dude, that happened last time. You're not gonna seal that shit up.
not gonna. No, they're not gonna pay for fancy design.
You
on
better
the
buy their
bag.
chip clips because you're gonna need them.
You're just gonna get green.
That was like one of my favorite lines
And
from
the
the last episode. Mike's like, you need a big
I did-
chip
I
clip
took a-
for
I-
this one.
That's like a fucking huge handful of these.
Big
I hope
chip
I like
clip.
them.
Okay,
Are we ready?
Ooh,
All right.
it smells good.
I'm
Oh,
ready.
Wow.
Smells like salt and vinegar chips.
Oh wow, those got a strong ass flavor.
That's a hard horseradish,
That's
bro.
a hard horseradish.
That's like a fucking.
Okay.
That's that fucking.
I would literally destroy this entire fucking bag without even breathing.
Here's the thing. I love horseradish.
I guess that's a 5.
I want to say I hazard to say these are one of the best potato chips I've ever had in my life.
it's straight horseradish
Oh,
chip.
I love it.
I don't even like horseradishes that
Oh, the
much, but
salt and
this is
vinegar.
fucking. This is really good. It's like a salt and vinegar mix
Yes.
with horseradish.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has all the things I like about certain potato chips, like crammed
what?
into one with a horseradish
You know what
flavor.
this reminds me of?
delicious.
Oh, I've been killing the.
This
Like, this is like my
reminds me of-
third bag I've killed.
This
Those are
reminds me of
delicious.
the Funyuns that were wasabi flavored.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, such as just what a strong flavor too. I appreciate a strong fucking flavor when it comes to. I don't want
It's
a
a
light
good dusting.
dusting. That is a good. That's a good.
Yeah, no,
flavor
you
chip.
feel it in your nose like you should a horseradish. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm giving this a 5. This is a 5 chip for me.
Oh, that's a 5 chip.
That's a 5. I would say it's a 5. You could kill that bag in one day.
Yeah, that's a
Horseradish and chives.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm right there.
It
with you
can't be
guys.
good for you. You're gonna definitely have
Absolutely
diarrhea,
not.
but like
For sure.
it's gonna be delicious.
I will say I am,
Delicious
I,
diarrhea.
I am sad because I
One of
know
the
with
most
most
satisfying diarrhea.
Trader Joe's things, this is seasonal, and it may or may
Oh.
never return. I don't know.
Is that
Depends on-
seasonal?
Most Trader Joe's shit is kind of seasonal,
I'm
unless
gonna
it's
have
just
to
a knockout hit. They'll go away and sometimes come back. But if they're not a hit,
I'm gonna have to pick me up a bag of that. That's pretty good.
I love it. Yeah, get it
Yeah.
while you can.
That's good.
Pick me up a bag of that.
All right. What do you got?
Why don't you go, Cody?
You want me to go? You
You
got
said-
something that's gonna top a dessert?
I got something that could go either way. So
All right.
I got one that could go. I could pick a dessert, or I could pick a salty snack.
So I fell in love with these. These are I don't even know how to fucking say the name. Pastatinis,
Pastini.
buttered flavored cookies.
Are they Italian?
I don't know, dude.
Which is butter cookies?
They put
like
'em-
that come in
listen,
the tin?
I get these from QT. They
Okay.
put them next to all the, Bimbo, the
Yeah, I know
white bear
Bimbo.
stuff.
Yeah.
They put it next to all
Bimbo.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Bimbo.
And I've been getting into the Bimbo stuff lately.
Bimbo makes a
Yeah.
good product.
If you want a second one, grab a second one.
I'm gonna say these look very much like what
Grab the
comes
second
in those tins like Grandma has.
That's
Yeah.
like
The
the
butter
cookies
butter
that are in the
cookies.
tin.
That always end up being
like
like
the-
sewing kits at some
With like
point.
the
in time.
sugar and the raw sprinkled on top,
Mhm.
like the big fat granules.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go, gas station cookie.
do it.
One too. Oh.
Mhm.
Melt in your mouth.
Love it. It's good.
That's a very like crummy cookie, like in a good way. It's like powder crumbness.
Yeah,
in
it's
your
got like a
mouth.
real pecan sandy texture.
Yeah.
I love how you guys all took like singular bites. I stuffed the whole fucking thing in my mouth. It's so good. I think it's the butter that just makes it like melt in your
It's,
mouth.
yeah, that's what I'm
man.
saying. It's because it's kind of like the Girl Scout. Don't they have Girl Scout cookies kind of like this too?
Yeah, I think it's the
Yeah.
ones that have their actual emblem or the brand of the Girl Scouts.
Oh
on
my
it.
god, these
I
are
don't know what
so
they're
good.
called.
Melt.
Fell in
your
love with
mouth.
these though. Got these the other day.
Very good.
Very
Fell
good.
in love with them. These are 4.5 for me.
I'll give those a fucking 5, man. I could eat a whole bag of those too.
I give those a 3.5. Like I love butter cookies, but not that much.
I give it a 4.5.
I feel like it's a good
That's a-
it's a good breakfast cookie.
Yeah,
Ooh.
definitely.
Like have it
definitely.
with a coffee.
Full
dip it in
I'm
syrup,
coffee.
getting
put bowl
hazelnut all of a
milk
sudden
and-
though. Is there hazelnut in there?
No.
Maybe you gotta
Is
have
there?
the hazel.
Butter, I think.
Butternut?
It's a good bicky.
All right, Chris.
I do want a cup of coffee with that. Actually.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Alrighty. I think I'm gonna go with the Crunchy Rocks
The crunchy
You're gonna
rocks.
go with Crunchy Rock?
because the setting of this movie, there's a lot of crunchy looking rocks in the
Yeah,
background.
Sure.
So we're gonna go with the Cadbury.
Sound logic.
The,
Okay,
the
Cadbury.
Cadbury Crunchy Rocks.
I've been told I have Crunchy R's.
So pass it around.
Where'd you get? Okay, may I ask where'd you get these?
These came from Cost Plus.
Cost Plus. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
I'm gonna try it.
I haven't tried these. I've never had them.
I want to ask a question. What is a cost plus? Because I don't think I've ever heard
Oh,
of
it's-
cost
Cost Plus World Market.
It's a Cost Plus. Yeah, World Market. It's
Oh, it's just World Market, and he calls it cost plus.
It's called
No,
Cost
it's always
Plus
called
World
Cost
Market.
Plus.
You guys just call it World Market for shorthand.
Okay, I want to check this out.
wrong for calling it fucking World Market.
It's called
It's literally
Cost
the
Plus
first part of the
World
name
Market.
is Cost Plus.
What's the big part of the sign?
I don't know.
What's the big goddamn
I
part?
saw,
I don't
I
care.
saw
What
Cost
is the-
Plus
what is the
was
IRS
bigger
fee?
on the front
Cost
of the
Plus.
building.
I'm gonna
Well,
try this because
let
it
me get
definitely,
one
Yeah, it's
here.
melting in my
it
fucking
definitely
hand.
melts in your hand.
It's a good
Okay.
sign. It's a good
So
sign.
it melts fast.
Yes.
Ooh, it's like granola or something.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh
Mm.
yeah,
I'm in.
Wow.
it's like a fucking Star Crunch. You
I-
remember those?
Yes.
Mm.
Better than a Star Crunch though.
Wow.
Very crunchy.
Did you just try to out fucking desert me, dude?
I would absolutely tear a
You
bag
fucking
of these
showed
up.
man.
So good,
These
right?
are so good. What are
Those
they
are
called
good.
again? Crunch Rocks?
Crunchy Rocks. Just think of the setting in Once
Mm,
Upon a Time in
wow.
the West.
Yeah,
That's
those are really
right.
good.
I
Those
like
are really
it.
good.
Y'all want another one?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
a
like
five.
I feel like you only got one.
Yeah, it tastes like a fucking
That's a 5.
It's a 5 for me.
chocolate covered what's those cones of ice cream cones?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like a waffle
Yeah.
cone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would hey, good job everybody.
One of the best snack times we have ever had. If I had to pick a winner though tonight, and I am gonna pick a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck though, man, it's really hard with that fucking Crunch Rock still in my mouth.
Crunch Rock's
taste.
still in the mouth. It's hard to think.
But that fucking the chive chips, the fucking
The fucking the
'Cause
Trader
I was
Joe's.
not
I'm serious,
expecting-
they're one of the best
I
chips
was
I've
not
ever had.
expecting to like those,
Bold.
dude. I was
Yeah.
not expecting to like those, and they're so fucking. All right, guys, that has been snack time. Thank you for going to the lobby with us and grabbing a treat. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Now let's go back and talk more about Once Upon a Time in the West. And we're back. We're talking about Once Upon a Time in the West. This was Kyle's pick, 1968, 40 million in the box office. Thank
We
you.
haven't gotten to Jill yet.
I want to get into Jill as well. I want to talk about this character a lot as well, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
So
You
like
go.
before our break we were talking about like you don't really know where characters stand in this too
Yeah.
much. Like, we don't know what harmonica's whole deal is for a really long time. Jill also, like, there are many times throughout this film where I was like, was she in on it? Was she part of was she in on like McBain dying? Like there were moments in it where I wasn't 100% sure that she wasn't going to be revealed as like
Huh.
somebody working with Frank. Like even when she was
Interesting.
in bed with him, that scene, there were parts where I'm like, is there going to be a moment where she's like, yeah, I don't really care about any of this. I mean, I'm glad it didn't go that way
Yeah.
because I think the other aspect of why she was doing that was so much more
Did you-
interesting because that's where you really learned she was like, I mean, we knew she was a prostitute and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it really speaks to her character as somebody just like a survivor, somebody
Mhm.
who's willing to be like, I'm gonna
Did you
go through torture just
And
to
then like
get through
it more or less backfires on Frank because Frank's like, okay, I know how to
100%.
like
Like,
take control of this woman, and
very
she's
much-
just like, oh yeah, you yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
much
Daddy.
smarter. She's much smarter than maybe even everybody in the film for all I,
I don't
know.
see. I don't. Some of it almost feels to me like where I'm like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, I get it, but it also feels this is the one part that feels dated to me.
No, 100%. Like I'm there. It's not like in terms of
I
like
wanted like a strong female character, which I feel like you somewhat get,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like there is this weird aspect of like when a man touches her, she just turns to jelly, and part of me is like, is it pre-planned? Is it not? And then there's this weird like. There's the weird encounter between her and Harmonica where he just, for no fucking reason, rips her clothes so she can get some water out of a fucking well.
Oh, I thought it was he was trying to make sure she didn't have a gun on her.
Is that what it was?
Oh, I thought
what
I thought he was just
thought.
making her more revealing so the guys on the horseback would pop out and check her out.
Was that the reason?
Is
That's what I
that
thought.
I didn't get any? I couldn't understand what the fuck. The
Because-
reason
because
was.
But I also feel like okay,
Go ahead.
you kind of touched on this when Cheyenne tells her to make coffee, you know. I feel like Cheyenne and Harmonica from a distance can take a look at Jill and say, "You don't fucking belong out here.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
You're a
100%.
city slicker."
Yes, very
100%.
much so.
And the moment when he rips those, what is that? The lace
Yes.
parts of her dress off, she looks like a fucking frontierswoman at that point.
Okay.
She looks
And I feel like he's like kind of like, get rid of this shit, go get some fucking water. Like he's like trying to get her like, you need to learn
Like,
how to
acclimate.
survive out here. You
Yeah.
need to acclimate and change your approach and everything. I feel like Harmonica and Cheyenne both realize that she's important for some fucking reason. Something about McBain and this place is important for some reason, because why else would Frank kill this family?
Yeah.
And so that draws them in to like kind of see what's happening. But I feel like in the process, they both kind of like, oh man, like she's actually kind of sitting on a gold mine. We need to like look out for her and like, get shaken. That's why they built
See,
the train station
think-
for her and all that shit.
I was
Sorry.
gonna say, I think at first they use her as bait, and then they kind of come along to.
Yeah, I mean, because they have to know to some degree that she's connected to all of this,
Right.
because they know that McBain.
But they know
was
within
killed.
talking to her for 5 minutes, she has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying. We're using her as bait. They know by staying close to her, they're
Yeah.
probably going to get close to Frank.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why Harmonica shows up for sure.
I do want to say something between like Harmonica and Cheyenne. Cheyenne makes it pretty apparently clear that, like, he recognizes that Jill's a very attractive woman.
Oh, yeah.
He makes many comments about who she should end up with to some degree. I will say that Harmonica almost seemed completely disinterested in any type of sex. Like, he didn't seem
Yeah.
very like
that's a
Except for that one scene when he rips her
no,
clothes
but
up.
what I'm saying, that's why when that was happening, I was kind of like,
It's so
something's up with this. Like, this has to have some
it doesn't have a sexual
strategic
vibe to it.
value to it, because he has not presented himself
Yeah.
as somebody with
So-
desire,
Right.
like
He seemed
sexual
like a
desires, I should
one-track
say.
mind.
But
Like
see-
he's on his mission to
Yeah.
get Frank.
He almost
But
seems robotic.
That's what I don't like about this scene, because to me, I'm like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, and just to use this term, like, it comes off very rapey, and I was like, is he? I thought that was what was going to happen in this
for
scene.
sure.
I'm like,
I actually 100% think that that's exactly what the filmmakers want you to think, that
they-
he might be a
100%.
bad dude that is about to do something very, very bad.
Yes.
But when it becomes very apparent that that's not what he's doing, and that he's
Mhm.
really more interested in knowing, first of all, knowing that there are people out there,
right.
and knowing that there's something, like, I don't know. For me, I thought it was that he didn't trust her quite yet. But to your point, Kyle, maybe it was like, hey, I can use this as a distraction because I know these guys
Mhm.
are going to be ogling her.
Yep.
They're not going to be paying attention to me.
Because let's also just point this out. Claudia Cardinelli
yeah.
might be one of the most beautiful women I have ever
She's
fucking
very-
seen
so
in my
gorgeous.
life.
Very attractive,
Holy
clearly.
Gorgeous.
cow.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Is that woman a knockout? Like,
Mhm.
it is. Don't know her from anything else.
I'm
Probably, obviously, probably an
watch
Italian
more. Yeah,
actress.
if you watch more, actors, I'm sure you'll find her.
But man, like, I was just like, wow, this man, whew,
Mm-hmm.
this woman is a knockout. And then you have, so her character, which again, it's one of the more perplexing characters in the film for me, because it's like, there's more or less of like, there is that point where you're like, yeah, she's a city slicker, but you kind of really want her to take to the land and the situation, which eventually she kind of does. But there's a lot of weirdness in between where you're like, yeah, like the whole opium den, like swinging bed scene with Frank is so fucking weird.
But that
'cause
that
she's like-
wasn't like, why is that a weird scene for her?
I don't think it's a weird scene for her.
You don't think that's a weird scene?
No.
Because
I
I
think,
think
they're
it's
very,
a weird scene for the movie in terms of the tone of storytelling. Like for you to think that your next plot move would be to Frank take her to an opium den and rape her, because that's what I took as happening, as like a threat, as part of his whole threat and master plan to get her out of there.
We've talked about Jill. I'd also like to get into Frank. We've talked a lot about Frank.
Played by Henry Fonda.
Who at this point I'm pretty sure was known for playing a different role, was known for more or less playing the hero
He's a good guy.
rather than
Henry Fonda's a
playing,
good guy.
playing the villain. And also Bronson was known for playing the villain rather than the hero, and they kind of flip
I mean,
spots.
Bronson, I'm not sure, but the guy who plays Cheyenne, I feel like he's like
Robards.
yeah, I feel
See,
like
I feel like
he's
I know
more like
Robards more from like my like 80s.
Yep,
Like
for sure.
like of him being kind of like almost like a patriarch. He was like the dad in
dad.
Parenthood
He's a dad,
and
yeah.
stuff.
he's
and-
always playing
yeah.
dads. So seeing
Yeah.
him in this was like, it's the same thing with Good, the Bad, the Ugly, because that's got Eli Wallach in it, and seeing
yeah.
him as like this bandit fucking criminal is pretty fucking fun.
I will say about Robards, I feel like he was the most interesting and charismatic
Dude,
person in
Easy.
this
I'm
film.
glad you said
Cheyenne,
that.
man.
I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that because I was about to say he has a very Sid Haig charm
yes,
to him.
Yeah.
totally.
He totally
yeah.
does.
That is like it's like this weird like I don't know why, but I like this guy.
Yeah. Very
I
likable.
love Cheyenne's introductions. The first this watch through was the first time I've like really appreciated that whole scene, because like before I feel like my brain just kind of checked out because it was how slow it was or
Right.
something. But like watching him go through, and then he like stops him, like the guy's about to go for his gun. He's like, "You don't know how to play."
Yeah.
Fucking turns back to harmonica, and his interaction with harmonica is so entertaining and enjoyable to watch.
He's actually one of the more entertaining, probably the most entertaining character in the
Mhm.
movie. And then like his whole when when harmonica gets captured and they're on the train and him getting
Oh, his
harmonica
rescue?
rescue is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so
The
fun.
fucking the toilet going.
The fucking the
Yes.
shoe move, the
Oh,
boot
the
move.
Oh,
the boot
so
gun?
clever.
Wow.
Yes, the boot gun was awesome.
I didn't see that coming, and it shot right in the face too, right in the eye.
Right, like he's the bandit. He's enjoyable, right? He's a likable bandit.
Yeah.
He's Aladdin.
Oh, I like his reveal though. He's like, hiding. So that's the best part. Is his reveal is you find out that not only was harmonica on the top of the train, but fucking Cheyenne was on the bottom of the train the whole
Yep.
fucking time.
Yep.
Oh, and
He's
tells
like,
it-
shh.
Cheyenne is like the fun character. I feel like of the movie. If there is any fun to be had in this movie, it's
Yeah.
with that character.
He definitely brings a lighthearted charm
Right,
for
because
the bandit.
yes, because he has a hard shell, but then when he is in those scenes,
Especially with Jill.
Jill, he really shines, and that's where you kind of get the only. This sounds weird to say, but like the only male in this movie that somewhat shows like personality vulnerability, like I feel like in this movie,
Yeah.
Cheyenne.
Yeah.
is Cheyenne.
And-
100%.
I also want to talk about the scenes where I think with Jill and Cheyenne, I think they resonate so well because they both exhibit, I think, a certain sort of street smart
Mm-hmm.
that they've used to survive through this whole time. I
Mhm.
feel like harmonica, while certainly he's had a rough life, like he's a survivor too,
Yeah.
right? He's more of like I shoot myself through out of problems, as where I kind of feel like Cheyenne again, like maybe it is that kind of like where harmonica was on the top of the train, which might not have been the best place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne has learned that the bottom of the train is where they're not going to check for you. Like he's a little bit more street
Yeah.
smart. I think
Do
he's
you-
a little bit more
Mhm.
shrewd.
Well, I like
I think
and
I know why
that's
the-
how he survived.
I think I know why this is.
Uh huh.
I think it's because Cheyenne has something to live for. Harmonica
Has one
is
desire.
just one
yeah.
desire, and that's revenge. And if he dies on his way getting there, he dies on his way getting there.
The-
The twist, I think, is at the fucking end when you realize, holy shit, Cheyenne is shot and he's dying.
Yeah, he.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I do want to talk about harmonica real quick, because
Go
this is such a great thing that I appreciated when I was watching the movies. Like, yeah, when you look at the characters, it's everything you guys are saying about Cheyenne. He's personable. He's got like something to live for and stuff. With harmonica, it's really an example of somebody who is a one-track mind individual with a singular goal,
Mm-hmm.
and has basically allowed all other facets of life to kind of fall to the wayside in terms of overall importance. And going back to the scene in the barn, we were like, I don't get a lot of sexual tension from that scene where he's ripping her clothes, right? It's more of a practical thing. But when he comes inside to grab his gear and leave, like there's a moment where I feel like he has a moment with Jill,
Mm-hmm.
but he spent his entire life focused on getting his revenge, that like having a conversation or knowing even how to like create a relationship with somebody, even though like Jill, I felt like he was like low key attracted to, but he was like, no, I got nothing, and he fucking like he took off.
Someday.
Like,
Yeah.
like maybe you're saying like he might be
Like the
socially
movie's
awkward
over
because
now
he's never,
he has to like go off and like figure out his life.
Can
now.
I tell you that was
yeah.
like that was the part of the movie where they really lost me, was like the whole part of the end where Cheyenne and Jill are there and he's like, listen, I know who you really love.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's that guy you barely talk to. It's like, huh? Like, why would she? Huh? Like, I didn't.
Strong, quiet type. You know?
I'm like, is it just because he is the main hero? I guess.
I think
I
he's
don't
just
know.
a badass. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just.
I do
he
think
saved lives.
He's like in terms
taken
of the
lives.
of all the men in this movie, like, well, I guess Cheyenne has a argument, but like Harmonica has made it known that like he has her best interests.
Yeah.
Like
mean, yeah,
he's
so-
on her side.
He's
so
been
does
protecting
but so
her.
does
Yeah.
Cheyenne, and
I-
Cheyenne's more human. Like, he's more of a real person.
I
But
also-
she doesn't want that.
Mm.
Like, again, this is where I
But
come in.
Cheyenne has more of a familial relationship with Jill, where he keeps bringing up how he sees his mother in Jill. So I think that inherently creates a wall that means those two will never
But
even.
Freud said
I mean,
that.
no, I mean there might be something Oedipal to it to some degree. Like, but I mean, I do think that you're right. That's the connection for Cheyenne with Jill, is that he sees his mother in Jill and he understands where she's coming from. I don't know. I feel like when he says that, you got to keep in mind he's got a fucking bullet in his gut, and he might be just saying that because.
But he said the
Aw,
mom
man.
stuff like long before.
No,
I get
no,
the
I'm not saying
impression
that.
he
I'm
really
saying-
wanted Jill, but she didn't want him.
Yeah, no,
you
I-
know?
I didn't get that.
Yeah,
Well,
like
that's the point I'm trying to get to. What I'm saying is I think he says that about Harmonica is because I think he just wants her to be safe, and he knows that Harmonica is the type of guy that can keep her safe because he's just a hard ass.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know.
But then those two right off the fucking together, and then he reveals he's shot.
yeah, which I didn't see coming at all.
I didn't see that shit coming neither.
I was like,
I did not.
didn't really set it up.
Though you can kind of tell something's up when he's talking to Jill. Like something's just like not right about him. I knew
Yeah.
something was up. Like I
Can
didn't
I be
know what
honest,
it was.
like,
though.
I never appreciated this until now, but the very end of this movie with Harmonica riding off with Cheyenne's body,
Mm-hmm.
like you kind of look at it, you're like, wow, he like collected his friend's body and he's riding off into the sunset with his
Mhm.
friend's body. But both his friend and he knows that his friend's body is currently worth $5,000. So there's a part of me, but I know
I
that
never thought about
Harmonica,
I never thought about that
Harmonica
either.
grabbed him and it was like, thanks, buddy.
This. Yeah.
I'm gonna turn your body in and get five G's so I can actually start my new life
He
now that I'm
probably
done
did.
with revenge.
How many times did that body get exchanged for $5,000 in this
Bro,
movie?
in the West, all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Good,
Everybody's-
the bad, the ugly. Like half of that movie is about that scam. Going to a new town. Hey, I have a criminal. They go to hang him, and then they get him free, and then they go to the next town and do it again.
Just keep cashing
Yeah.
him in.
The Telegraph didn't move that quick, bro.
We didn't really talk about Morton, who
So-
I feel like they like.
pretty
I don't know. Do
interesting.
you guys feel any sympathy for him
No.
with his?
No, I don't feel sympathy for
No, I don't.
Spinal
I, no, sorry, I don't
tuberculosis
have
or
sympathy
whatever.
for your evil capitalist pig.
Eat the rich, Chris. Eat the rich.
I mean I do like that
Occupy the
his
poor.
his condition did kind of give him like a sort of how do I put this, like almost like a Richard III scenario thing where he like
He still seemed like a rich rich evil. He just seemed more pathetic and weak as
he
the
seems
film went on.
sad.
well, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I do like it when villains have some sort of thing that
Yeah.
leads to their character. Like I just imagine that he has this condition and he's thinking like, okay, but like if I can control the railroads and I can control this, like I can make up for this thing. And I
Well-
love this scene between him
His
and Frank where he starts talking about what's better, guns or money.
yeah.
Like I just think that they're
But I feel like the railroad guy, his goal is singular, which is to see the Pacific Ocean. Like he really leans into that a lot.
but that's like a really cool character driving device.
it's you know, I really struggle with most of the Morton scenes in this movie. Like having seen it a bunch of times, like I don't need any of them honestly. Like I need the first one where Frank and him have their exchange, you realize that he's now weak. They've been together for a long time. Frank's trying to move in on his power, and like
Yeah.
everything else after that, you could have cut, chopped, dropped, and you wouldn't have lost any of the real important story arcs. Because his story arc, I don't give a shit about it.
I don't know, man. I kind of like the fact that he like wanted to see the ocean and he dies in the water.
Yeah, he's crawling to the water in his death.
Like,
yeah.
I just think that's a fucking cool.
But that
like,
felt,
thing that
of
you don't-
all of the plot devices in this film, that one felt the most tacked on. Like, oh, we'll just get a shot of the painting in his, you know.
You know what it gave to the story for me though is it gave me like a different type of Western character than the rest of them. Like the rest of them just kind of felt like cowboys, you know,
Mhm.
like and he felt like of a different class.
That was the whole point
and
of him, I think.
Yeah,
though,
and
you
like
know?
just his whole like chamber in that car was like so elegant,
I
kind of
love
looking.
the
and,
shit
like,
in the ceiling that drops his whole grid so he can hold on.
Yeah, I
to.
thought that was a really cool thing because at first when I saw it, the first thing I thought was, oh, is this like an early like what all trains had this
Yeah,
like when
yeah.
people were like like in subways where you have those
Holding
things that
on,
you hold on,
yeah.
and then I realized like, oh no, he built it so he could get around.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
It's such a weird little detail for his character, you know, and but again, like I don't know, something about his character, I don't feel like it was a complete waste. I feel like there was an emotional feeling I had like cuz I was like, what, you know, like yeah, he's like supposed to be this evil like, you know, railroad like guy or tycoon or whatever, but you see how pathetic and weak he is, and he keeps getting knocked off his crutches throughout this movie, and like it just kind of like in a weird way did tug at my heartstrings, but I know I'm not supposed to feel sorry for
But
him.
hold on a sec. Knocked off his crutches, but still has the strength to fucking hike all the way out to wherever Frank's rape den was, up on the side of a mountain.
Yeah, that was kinda
in
weird,
his
I guess.
fucking outdoor clothes and shit. Like that scene was the weirdest one. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
I feel like as time went on, it was like I don't know, they wanted you to have some weird sympathy for him.
That yeah, I got that.
I mean, I think that makes for the best type of villains, right? Like villains that have like these backstories that may even be tragic, right? It's so much. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the movie, but
Bro, glass rule.
the glass rule.
Glass.
Yeah,
the
I know. I know
glass.
what you mean. Yeah, no. I don't know. Sometimes when it's like
Glass?
I'm a bad guy that
Glass.
wants to take over the world, like that's such a like really superficial kind of like motivation versus like I want to take over the world because some tragic thing has happened to me and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make up for that.
Here's what I hyper focused on, and I can't get out of my fucking mind with this guy. Right, so he's sitting at the table with Cheyenne's men,
Cheyenne's men.
and he wants to be played into the
Oh
card.
no,
game.
those are Frank's men.
Is it Frank's men?
Those are Frank's men.
So is it Cheyenne that comes and kills Frank's men and Morton and then gets shot? Okay. I thought it was Cheyenne's men. I'm so again.
No, those are
sometimes
Frank's men because they turn on him in the
Sometimes
town.
you get confused on who's men or who.
It's
Anyways,
easy to
Say,
happen.
it sounds like two
Yeah,
great towns to
Which
visit.
my understanding is that Morton did pay off Frank's men.
Morton
Right.
paid off Frank's
Which
men,
again,
and
goes-
they went to assassinate him, and that's what Harmonica was like
I
helping
do
him.
love that it goes back to that conversation where he was like, "What's better, money or bullets?" And he's like, "Money can buy bullets."
So what I can't get out of my head is
Mhm.
the fact that he pays Frank's men off at least $500 each,
Yeah.
and my mind cannot get off of A Million Ways to Die in the West, a comedy movie, but still they make a point to point out that like the one guy yells at his son for not taking off his hat in the presence of $1 because $1 is so much money to them.
Mhm.
And I can't help but think that way. And I'm like, is this the one aspect this movie got wrong? Was it like
the
not
amount of
one.
money. Yeah.
It was just the money. Guys, I was just like $500 back then. Like, which buy these guys a mansion?
Well, yeah,
I
but
mean,
they were dealing with a railroad tycoon who would be realistically, I assume, the person who would have the most money
Right.
in that territory.
and keep in mind what they would have to have paid to get. Like, I mean, they had to have had a good thing going with Frank, anyways, right? Like, it's not like Frank isn't bringing in money through
Right.
his crime, right?
Mhm.
So it has to be more than that, and it has to be enough that it's worth the risk that if Frank finds out, you're gonna get your ass killed.
Yeah.
Like, he's not letting you go. He's gonna fucking kill you. So it's got to be a hefty fee.
It's gotta be a good gig, right? It's
Yeah.
gotta be working a good gig here.
I think it's like close to 50K then. I would say 50K would be enough for me to break ranks.
Jesus
Jesus.
Christ.
Oh,
Jesus.
not me.
Glad,
Now
glad
we
you didn't
know.
like
On Frank's
join the
team?
military or anything.
50K in Old West? I'm a fucking millionaire.
That reminds me of like Maverick with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
They were playing for like some ridiculous amount of fucking money.
It's
in
like $1
that
million,
car. Yeah,
right?
it's like
$1 million
$1
on Louisiana
Yeah.
steamboat or something.
Yeah. They would've
Why do
shit-
I remember that movie
What
so
the
well?
hell?
do
I
not know.
don't think I've ever seen that movie.
You've never
That's-
seen Maverick?
Dude, he told me this the other day, and I was like, dude, Maverick was so big in the 90s.
You were talking
Yeah,
about
Maverick was a
Maverick
big
the
I'm
other
one.
like,
day.
it was like a huge film.
Now I really want to see it just to see if it holds up, but I remember really liking that
Mel
film.
Gibson Western.
Mel Gibson Western comedy.
Based on a old, like an old TV,
TV show, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Is that pretty much all that Sergio Leone did? Was like westerns, other than Once Upon a Time in America, and
Which is it's a gangster
as
film.
far as directing goes, I
As
should
far as
say.
directing goes, I mean, he did a lot of Italian movies that I'm not super familiar.
yeah. I mean,
with.
like I feel like in the United States, that's what he's most known for.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
hear the name Sergio Leone, you think immediately. The
yeah, I
spaghetti
don't
Western.
know. I didn't actually think to look up his filmography.
I kind of want to watch something that's
Oh, here-
not a Western from him and
Right.
see what's going on.
Right.
Once Upon a Time in America is really good. It's just long.
Well, what's the second one of this? This is a trilogy, right?
Fistful of Dynamite or Duck You Sucker. Those are the same movie.
So let's see here. He's done Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars, Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time in the West, A Few Dollars More, Duck You Sucker, My Name is Nobody, the Colossus of Rhodes.
That doesn't sound like a
No, that doesn't look like one.
Western. That sounds like almost like a epic
That sounds like a drama.
Greek.
Sounds like
Last
a
Days of
fucking
Pompeii.
romance drama.
Okay, that's definitely not one. Okay, so he's done some of these weird kind of
Right.
Greek Italian. I guess you say Italian kind of historical,
Yeah.
The Greek mythology.
kind of
films.
like the Mario Bava with the Hercules and the Dark
So
World
I
or
would say
something.
definitely Western is like his genre though.
Mhm.
Like that is his genre.
So I
of film.
would say, yeah, for in America, that's what he's known for sure.
Before we go though, before we get into this,
Before we
movie,
go.
yeah, we'll start winding down. But before we do, I want to talk about more things with this movie.
More things?
More things.
Okay,
because
what
we
do you
haven't
got?
got into. We haven't touched the soundtrack really.
We have not touched the
Shit.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Did I mean Chris talked about how much he liked it, and I,
You can't disagree with him, dude. Cool
No.
as fuck, dude. It's so cool.
It's
Every-
a good soundtrack.
Every character has their own like complete like sound and vibe and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. I love Jill's music, that like kind of sad, like light, delicate sounding music. And then with harmonica, it's like harmonica tied with that twang guitar. She's like,
My only complaint with harmonica's music is that they induced the harmonica a little bit too much. They would have pulled back just a little bit on
Yeah.
it in the music.
Yes.
I mean,
in the music.
I do
think
feel
it'll
like
be great.
with most Italian like spaghetti westerns and Italian films that were made for like you do have to sometimes get away from the I guess you would call it an ADR kind of added, right? Like
Get away from it.
yeah, like you can tell that the sound kind of exists like on a soundtrack
Oh, 100%.
and not within the film.
Oh,
The harmonica
absolutely.
specifically. That
Yeah.
that is my biggest my biggest gripe in the thing, that if I could go back and fix anything, that's what I would. I thought about that a lot watching this movie. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could just take the harmonica sound and just put it in the environment just a little bit more. Like add some more reflection or something. Make it sound like it actually is existing there.
Yeah, I think it's just a
Right, right.
matter of the
The only time it happens is at the end when he's got it in his mouth and he's like huffing and puffing.
That part
and
actually
and
was,
yeah.
I mean, it was cool. I could tell that it was happening,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just think it's part of the not habit, but the necessity of using Italian actors who were speaking in Italian and then
Yeah.
dubbing
Dubbing it,
over,
yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
really
this-
using audio and just layering it over things when you had to.
And when you had to, I feel like this whole movie, that's all it was. You
Oh,
know?
sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like like the whole soundscape of the movie, including all of the dialogue and everything was like done post production. You know,
the
like
entire movie feels that way. Yeah.
yeah, and it
It
sounds
feels like you
that.
didn't have any good on-set audio
Right.
recording.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, from an economical standpoint, it made so much sense. And
does.
It's not distracting so much that it's
it's mixed
takes
well.
away
It's
from
just
the
honestly
film,
the
but-
harmonica is the one that sticks out as glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
the most.
Yeah.
Like the other ones, like dialogue delivery feels it's a little clean for this scene, but whatever.
Yeah, I think overall, like, sound is another shining star.
Oh, yeah.
It's masterfully done. Like, it's, I mean, if you're gonna watch a 1968 movie, like, the sync of the sound is just generally gonna probably
Mhm.
be a little off. I don't know why. It's just I guess the nature of the beast at that time, but it doesn't bother me. I find it a little charming even, but like, yeah, I mean, the sound was clearly equally as important as the cinematography in this movie.
I got a question for everybody real
Yeah.
quick. Do you think Harmonica knew any other songs on that fucking thing, or was
No.
it just that one too?
That's
it.
the depressing thing about it, because like I actually know how to play that song. I looked at it. I looked
Uh-huh.
it up. I looked it up years ago and looked it up again recently, but it's just inhale and exhale through like basically a single note, and then you use the one next to it, which would have been all he would have been doing while his brother was on his
I
shoulders.
mean, that's
is
kind of
breathing
cool.
through one note.
It's also very cool that it ends up in the mouth of Frank, and then
Yeah.
same shit kind of happens.
Oh yeah, he gets
So
it.
he just is
It's full
replaying
circle.
that
Yeah.
death sound. That
And then you realize, like, oh, maybe I mean,
I don't think because he
Actually,
doesn't
now that's
know
like
how
a
to
reveal
play a
now.
harmonica.
maybe that's the thing. He doesn't know how to play.
doesn't- he
He
doesn't.
knows how
He
to
knows how to
play
do
the
that.
tune of someone who knows.
Yeah, 'cause
he
all it
might
is
be
is,
able.
like,
He might be dying any
Inhale,
moment right
exhale, inhale, inhale.
Yeah.
That's the pattern to play that.
My
whole
question
thing.
was, with
Fuck
the
this movie.
playing that tune, was he almost calling out to see if Frank would respond to the tune, or
I think so. I
now.
think
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that Frank is like I mean, I guess he's killed so many people.
Oh my god,
that-
thank you for I'm so glad we got here because I want to talk about this. That is like so perfectly done in the movie. That the evil of Frank is even at the very fucking end of this movie. He's dead and he looks up and he still is like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I've killed so many people. I have no idea. He shoves a harmonica in his mouth and it takes him a minute to think. You see his eyes like,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then he died. Like that is it's so like just so casual. And
yeah,
that's like adding to his evilness cuz like the whole movie Harmonica is doing this great thing where he's just like all naming dead people that like they're all alive before they met you, Frank. And like still Frank has no idea who the fuck this person is. And every time he sees Harmonica, he has yet a new list of names that we haven't heard before of dead people, just showcasing how many people Frank has killed.
You could watch this film 100 times, and I feel like you could pick up a new thing because there was
I agree.
so much
Yeah,
tied
agreed.
in.
You
To the
can't
writing
pick
and
it up
every
in
other
one,
aspect.
in one go. Like you cannot pick this
Fucking
movie up
good.
in one go.
Let's do this, guys. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll rate this Mammer Jammer.
Ooh.
All right, guys, we are back. What do you say we rate this Mammer Jammer? Kyle, this was your pick, so what are we rating it?
I think it's obvious that we're rating it harmonica.
Harmonica the person or the instrument?
I think it should be Charles Bronson himself.
Yeah,
the
just his
person.
head.
Charlie Bronson himself.
Just him squinting through the distance.
Squinting into the abyss.
There you go. That sounds way better than the way I said it.
I will go first on this one. I'll be the first one to do it because I feel like this is just gonna go in order like this. This is my personal opinion. I feel like it's gonna go. I'm calling the shots of everybody here. I'm gonna go with a 5. And this is crazy to me to say that not crazy to me that I'm gonna say that this movie's a 5. Like if you watch this fucking movie, you'll get it. Like you watch this and you're like, oh, this should obviously be shown in film schools, just from the fucking shots alone. Like it's kind of hard not to do that. What I will say though is like when I first watched this film, I would say that first 55 minutes is rough. Was rough for me. Because you're like, what's going on? There's no dialogue. It seems to go on and on forever. But once that story kicks in and you start getting more of the characters and kind of what's going on in this world, that stuff makes a little more sense. It kind of bleeds into it. And then you're fully invested into this world. At least I was. Music's awesome. Cinematography's awesome. Acting's great. Like, characters are not necessarily fun, but like, you do go on this journey with them in this part of their life. And you just see like how, even in times where you may want to give up, like I feel like that for a lot of characters in this movie is like a lot of them like more or less right. Your brother was killed. You were the reason that he may not the reason that he died, but you may feel like he's the reason that you died, but you keep on going for that revenge. You were a prostitute. Your fucking your meal ticket out of being a prostitute to finally be a proper woman to a rich man is fucking shattered because he was murdered the day before you fucking get there. And Cheyenne gets shot in the belly and he just keeps going. No,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like the movie is about survival in a very hard time that is time to survive. And he takes the West, which I think is really known for being an ugly place, especially during this time period, and makes it so fucking beautiful. More I like in I think more so than other directors have, at least in westerns that I've seen up to this date. Maybe there's others out there that I'm missing out on. Like I said, I'm not big on the genre. But music, cinematography, story. I mean, I was there for all of it. 5 stars. Great film. Go see it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Put it on your list now. Chris?
I'm going 4.5 harmonicas on this.
Fucker.
You fucking would, dude.
Yeah.
Would.
I
heard
had
me-
a feeling.
He heard me
Yeah.
say. He heard me say everybody's gonna say. I heard me say everybody's gonna give it a 5, and then he had to fucking change it.
Yeah,
up, dude.
you influenced
Yeah.
that decision.
I did.
I mean, look, like to be honest, I didn't get through this movie in one full watch. Like I fell asleep the first time, I fell asleep the second time, and the third time I finished it up. And it isn't because it's necessarily a boring movie or anything like that. It's just because it is so slow and so like it plays so much on the ambient sound of the film, setting you in the West as if it almost tries to make you feel like you exist there, the way they design the sound. Look, the movie, like I can't say enough good things about the cinematography, the production aspect of the film. It really does feel like an epic Western film. I don't know a lot about Westerns and have a lot to compare this to, but I have to say that even not knowing that and just kind of having a basic knowledge, I could tell this is like at the top of the list for probably one of the most like revered Western films as far as how it was made, like the acting, like the cinematography, just overall like start to finish production. So I can see how and why this movie would be so influential. But on the same token, like it's not something that I could watch like over and over again. It's probably just maybe a one more time watch for me. So and I'd be good with that. And 4.5 harmonicas.
4.5 harmonicas from Chris because he can't watch it more than once. All right,
Okay.
Mike, where you at? 3.5?
Yeah, sure. No, it's a 5. Super easy
Yeah.
5 to me. I think this is the quickest 5 I've ever had in a film. I'm going to say that I knew it was a 5 within, I mean, unless it was going to let me down in some way, within 10 minutes of watching this film, I remember feeling like, oh, fuck, this is such a 5 for me. Like, I just know this is going to be a 5. Like, there's no way that this film is going to take a nosedive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, just everything about it. That opening scene alone just sold me so fucking hard. And I just remember thinking, like, oh, man, I gotta see more shit like this. Yeah, if it wasn't for Chris, I feel like we would have had our third perfect score.
Yeah.
But Chris had to fucking ruin it.
That's part of your review.
No, I agree. Maybe give it another 5.5.
Yeah, can I make up for it
5.5,
somehow? No, this was a really good film. I am going to look forward to revisiting this film multiple times for as much time as I have left on this earth.
No, I agree with you. This is definitely something
Yeah.
that I'm going to revisit as well because, like I said, just the one thing I noticed with like the fucking train toy and the pot, like makes you
Mhm.
gonna go, what else did I miss?
Yeah, there's so much.
Not only that, I want to watch it again just to be like, okay, what other films have stolen from this?
Mm.
But 4.5 for Chris. All right, Kyle, Bring us home. How many harmonicas?
It's 5 harmonicas for me.
Wow.
I'm really excited that you guys all got to see the movie for the first time. This is a first watch for you guys. This movie is one that's been close to me. Like, I feel like it, visually speaking, it has inspired my artistic eye. Like, I feel like I look at scenes, or if I'm like taking pictures, I'm a photographer and I'm taking pictures of stuff or trying to do landscapes, like this movie and scenes from this movie, the low angles, the weird, the sharp angles, the tight push-ins of the character's face and stuff, like all these things just I feel like live kind of in the back of my head and guide some of my artistic decisions in my life. Yeah, I think it's a great film. I think in terms of Sergio Leone stuff, like this was I always liked this one a bit more, and I always thought Good, the Bad, the Ugly was like the more critically acclaimed, the more popular one.
It's definitely the one that I feel like gets talked
More
about
people know
way more.
But what's
Clint
funny is
Eastwood.
like you watch this movie and it's like it's Good, the Bad, the Ugly, but with like a respectable budget, and he's able to do those attention to detail things. Like, Mike and I were talking about it. It was just like I remember thinking this watch through, like I remember reading about Sergio Leone's obsession with details and getting things correct, and like that was kind of in the back of my head when I was watching it this time around. And I was looking at anytime we were at a railroad scene where they're building the railroad, I was like, okay, well, is there fucking Chinese fucking immigrants over here? Because like that was the way it was, and like on fucking cue of me saying that in the background there are some like period correct clothing Chinese railroad builders like in the background. I was like, he went to the level to like get everything, even the extras have the most period accurate shit. Like that level of obsession in this film, it shows throughout, and I think it's an excellent movie that I recommend everyone to check out.
All right, guys, that's our show. We just want to say, remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next time.